I'm Sam, joined by my colleague Kirk down at the end, who's going to be helping us out with some gameplay this segment. And we've got some very special guests joining us right now. Here I have Eric, Arjan, and Nick from Epic Games, who are going to hang out with us and play a little Fortnite Battle Royale. Then thank you so much, guys, for coming by and spending some time with us today.
We're super excited. It's fantastic to have Fortnite on the Switch, and so we're so excited to be here.
So as we're getting in here, Nick and Kirk are going to be doing some gameplay, but for folks who are watching who maybe haven't had a chance to jump into Fortnite Battle Royale before, we should probably kick off with a really quick intro to what this game is all about.
Yeah, sure. So the basic premise of Fortnite is you and 100 other people are dropped onto an island, and the last man standing wins. And so you use any tools at your disposal to basically figure out a way to be that last person standing, whether it's weapons or special items or building a really cool base. We have all kinds of really fun and exciting tools to use to be that last person standing.
Well, we're incredibly happy to have you with us on Nintendo Switch, and we'll be able to hop into some gameplay here, show some stuff. Fine dance moves going on here. Excellent work, guys.
So one of the really cool things about Fortnite is how fun and sort of lighthearted it is. And you can see as they're queuing up for a match right now, they're showing off some of their emotes. And those emotes they range from dances to throwing up, communications to your friends and other things like that. So right now what's happening is they're loading into the match, and they'll start out on the loading island for a brief period of time. After that, they're going to take the battle bus across the island, choose a point to drop into the match, and start looting up and start figuring out what exactly they want to do to win.
And of course, this is live online gameplay, so we're not really sure what we're going to see here, who's going to come in and pay our guys a visit, but really looking forward to seeing how things shape up. So as we're getting kind of comfortable here started, we should probably go over some of the HUD elements for folks who aren't familiar with Fortnite to let them know what they're looking at.
Yep, so in the bottom middle, you've got your health bar, which is basically shows you how much life you have available. You can see there's 100 life and up to 100 shield. If you find various shield potions or other shield items throughout the world, those will allow you to gain more health.
And here
now, as you can see, they're moving across the map. They're going to dive in. At the top right, you've got basically what we call a mini map, and that shows you where you are. Top left, you've got the team. You've got the team list of your people you're playing with, and then in the bottom right, once they jump off the bus, you'll see that they've got an inventory, basic items that they can carry. Everyone starts with a pickaxe. This is a big part of Fortnite's gameplay is that you can destroy a lot of the objects around the world. So destroying those objects will get you different resources such as wood, stone, or metal. And then with those resources, you can build different objects. So you can build a wall, you can build a ramp, you can build a floor, and those can be used in a variety of different ways. If you want to be, if you just want to be mobile and get around the map to go up a cliff or down a cliff, you want to build a wall for some cover if somebody's shooting at you. These are all sort of the on-the-fly choices that you can make.
And I think we'll be able to see a lot more of crafting as we get into the game here. But right now, right at the start, there's a pretty big strategic decision you have to make as far as where you're going to land on the map. Exactly.
So it looks like in this match, we're jumping in, starting somewhere a little more remote, so maybe we won't find other players. Some of the more, you'll see on the map has some of the what we call points of interest or different city locations. And generally, those are a little bit more populated. So you've got, Dusty Divot in the middle or Tilted Towers over to the left. And they've jumped to Junk Junction, which is in sort of the northwest quadrant. It's a little bit further away from stuff and gives them the ability to hopefully gather some equipment without any harm.
And this is available on the Nintendo eShop right now for Nintendo Switch. So hopefully we're running into some other folks who are playing on Switch here as well. And actually got some good gear going there. I do love that when you're first getting started, you really have to decide, okay, are you prioritizing collecting materials, gathering weapons, really what's your approach going to be? And maybe you want to be somewhere more populated so you can try to secure some quick kills. But on the other hand, maybe you want to get out here a little bit further away, build up some resources, and then start trying to approach other players.
That's right. And we try to promote as many different styles of play as possible. And so for some players, Tilted Towers is a location that's generally pretty populated because there's a lot of loot there. If you're a more aggressive player, you can go there, and the likelihood of finding another player is very, very high.
So just thinking of other strategic elements that folks are going to want to keep in mind as, see a vending machine there.
Vending machine there. So vending machines are an item that we added a little while ago that allows you to trade in your resources for, looks like they're doing a laugh emote, that you can trade in resources for different types of items. And if you whack it with your pickaxe, it'll kind of cycle through the different items that are available. So if you don't find a gun that you might, that you're interested in, this would give you an opportunity or an option to acquire it through a different means. So you can see there is this golden chest. So all around the map are chests randomly placed in various locations, and they're always guaranteed to drop at least one weapon, some ammo, a consumable of some sort, and that's kind of, in the early starting game, something that you really want to seek out.
And they do have a pretty specific sound effect, distinct sound to listen for. So if you're checking out some basements and attics and you're not sure whether or not there's a chest there, the audio is very important. You want to be paying attention for that cue to say, okay, there's a chest nearby. You should spend a little bit more time searching for it.
That's right, and it's got kind of a bit of a glowing sound, so you can kind of hear where it is. Now, if you look at the map, you can see we've got about 1 minute and 10 seconds before that first storm circle is going to start to close. And this is a really big part of Fortnite gameplay, is over time, the storm circles close in and force players closer and closer together. Now, an average match is around 20 minutes if you make it all the way to the end. So it's a nice, quick, digestible format. And you'll see that they've got a little ways to go. So it's forcing all of the remaining players. You can see it just trickled down in the top right there from about 60 to 57 players. You can watch that trickle down as players are slowly eliminated. But they're running basically back to the playable circle as the storm closes in so that they can stay safe.
Yes, you certainly can. You hang out in the storm a little bit if you want to, but your health is going to be depleting constantly as you're out there. It's an incredibly dangerous place, and your vision's also obscured when you're looking into the storm as well. So you're very vulnerable if you spend time in the storm. You really don't want to be there unless you're like, oh, I was just a little too late getting here. I really need to get myself back to safety.
Yep, that's absolutely right. And the first storm circles are a little bit, they don't do quite as much damage as the later storm circles because obviously you've got a long distance to travel. We want to allow people to, if they make a little bit of a mistake, they can catch up. But as the game progresses, that storm will get stronger and stronger.
Oh, there we go. So storm is shrinking.
Yep, and so they've got 3 minutes to get back to the safe zone, which should be plenty of time. And you can see, some combat to the right.
Oh.
I do love this strategy when you're playing with a partner or a team, trying to build up some protection around you, but in that case, somebody snuck up and that did not work out.
Yep, looks like Shadow Potato 923 wins today, but
bravo, Shadow Potato.
So one of the strategies there with when you're playing with a friend is if one of you gets knocked down, you go into what we call a down but not out state. So you're not immediately eliminated from the match. They can come to you and revive you. So one of the other things that we've got you're looking at here is there's a whole lot of player customization options in Fortnite. This is huge for us. We think it's really important to be able to express yourself with a variety of different skins, emotes, what we call back bling. It's kind of a backpack accessory, and some other basic customization options that really allow you to choose who you want to be.
And actually, this is probably a really good chance for us to start talking about V-Bucks and seasons as well and how that kind of works into the Fortnite dynamic.
That's right. So our currency that you can use to purchase the Battle Pass is called it's called V-Bucks. And the Battle Pass will allow you to, if you purchase it, will allow you to basically unlock different cosmetic items through play. So we give you weekly challenges, such as eliminating other players with a certain weapon type or finding some kind of unique objects around the world, and those will give you experience to unlock these different levels and then get those cosmetics. And so we think this is a really great value for our players. Every season we introduce new skins. They are exclusive to that season and we'll never sell them again. So if you're, if there's something in that really piques your interest, now's the time to act because it's not going to come back for the next season.
And I will say, I do really appreciate that. I mean, you guys have been so robust in your approach to updates and new content and making sure there's always fresh stuff there for the player, but it's not pay to win. So there's a lot of expressing your personal style and your personality and your play style, but it doesn't feel like, oh, if I don't buy, this weapon or this item, I'm going to be non-competitive for a while.
That's right. That's a huge deal to us, is making sure that our cosmetics are entirely cosmetic only, and they're not going to affect gameplay. They're not going to give you any advantage. but they do allow you to customize your character, right? We think that's really, really important for the competitive aspect of the game, and to keep that integrity of, you know, the best player wins.
You guys have put some pretty fun stuff into the recent updates, I will say. It's been a lot of fun to see that stuff get into play.
Yep, so this week we just released the thermal scoped assault rifle. It allows you to see enemies at a distance. They kind of stand out. It does a kind of color effect that allows you to see enemy players and treasure chests and supply drops. Makes it just much easier to see stuff. In the past, we've added things like shopping carts that you can use to get around the map and do cool sort of jumps and tricks, as well as a bunch of different weapon types and consumables.
Yeah, I think the shopping cart's one of my personal favorites, and coming back to that idea of this being a very lighthearted, kind of fun experience, it really kind of changes the mood. We're in the middle of a firefight and suddenly somebody YOLOs through with the shopping cart and just like, all right, hi, what's going on? Over a ramp you go. But there are some folks who jump in here to play, and they're not necessarily focused on being the last player standing. For them, it's more about the construction or the crazy jumps and just having a really fun time with the physics in this world, because it's just a blast running around and bouncing off things and seeing what kind of crazy structures you can make.
Yeah, that's right. So in every match, you know, 99 people are going to lose, or when you're playing solo at least, and that means only one person wins. So it's really important to us that it still feels fun and that you have a good time, even if you're eliminated.
So over here we've got Nick playing on the TV with a docked Switch, but we do have Kirk over on the end playing in handheld mode.
Yep.
Can we talk a little bit about how it was getting the handheld experience together?
Yeah, so we've been, really embracing Switch from the start, right? And it's, the form factor is just so amazing, right? You can have this beautiful looking game, you know, in your hands with controllers, right? With the Joy-Cons, and it just plays really well, right? We're also really happy with how it looks, right? It's a high-end look, right? We have all the effects, all the super cool rendering tricks and all that.
And this is the same experience.
It's the same experience, right? The same game. So, we update Fortnite every week almost, and Switch will now be part of that update cycle. So yeah, we're constantly enhancing it and doing new cool stuff, and giving this to players. So we hope it's going to be really successful on Switch as well. We're super stoked. Internally in the company, people are super happy about it, and they're all like, yeah, this is going to be my go-to platform, because after this day of work, I can just play in my bed and
cool.
Not disturb my my family or whatever. And it's we hope it's going to be huge. So
Well, hopefully it'll make it a little easier for folks if you want to keep up with, like, popping in every day, coming in every week, checking for updates, take it on the go, play it however you like. Can we talk a little bit about crossplay?
So there's crossplay between PC, Xbox One, mobile, and Mac right now. And if you have friends on those platforms, you can play together.
And I don't know how much we can talk about it yet, but I do know you guys have some other Switch functionality in the works.
Yeah, so we've been super hard at work doing this thing, right? It's always the challenge of announcing something and going live at the same time. Yeah. So it's always like, oh, it's crazy.
A little bit of a rush.
But yeah, we are basically focused on that. So make sure that the game runs amazing. We have amazing visuals both in both modes, and down the line, right? It has a touchscreen. So what can we do with the touchscreen that's meaningful and all that. So those are the kind of things we're going to explore kind of down the line, and see what kind of cool things we can give to people. Especially just in the front end, it's easier to use your finger as a mouse, right? That's clear. But you can play with Switch in so many different ways that you might not have the touchscreen, right? So it should be an optional thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how many people will play like handheld versus like docked, and But yeah, that's one of the things that we're working on. And I think another huge thing is that we do support party voice through the headphone jack. So if you have a headphone, a microphone and headset, you could just plug it into the headphone jack, and you can talk with your friends on whatever platform they're on. So it's actually, it's huge for Fortnite to be able to communicate with people.
Yeah,
right?
when you're in a squad.
Communicate with your squad, right? I see my kids just talking to each other constantly, and they win the matches all the time because they're just about communication and teamwork and all that. And so this has been a really big driver, and we were able to get this out there. So I think at this very moment it's turned off, but we'll turn it on Thursday morning.
Awesome.
So yeah, we're excited about that one.
Yeah, can't wait for that and hearing more about these other updates that you guys have got in the works. Since we're hopping into another game, though, I did want to ask you guys your personal favorites when it comes to weapons, because one of the challenges in Fortnite is you have limited inventory space. So getting in there, deciding, okay, what gear am I going to bring with me in terms of weapons? What are your go-tos personally?
So for me, I'm a big fan of sniper weapons, whether it's the scoped assault rifle or the hunting rifle is a personal favorite of mine, because it allows you to still get that long-range combat, but not lose your situational awareness, because it doesn't put you into a scope when you're zoomed in. It provides such a high opportunity for reward if you get skilled enough to use it. So that's my personal favorite.
So Ariane, how about you?
Yeah, I'm always a shotgun guy. I've made games for a long time, and I always play shotguns. So I'm still that. I like the gratitude of eliminating somebody up close and personal. So.
And another great offensive option you've got here as well is traps, which we haven't really talked about yet.
Right. So we have a number of different trap types. Some are used offensively, or some are used more sort of situationally. So we have a damage trap that you can place on floors or walls or ceilings, and if somebody walks into it, they'll take a lot of damage. So if you're the crafty sort of player who wants to build sort of an intricate base or play a little bit more stealthy inside of a building or something like that, you can place it right underneath a ceiling or right beyond a door. Somebody walks into the room and takes damage, and then you can finish them off. We've also got some more tactical traps that are like a campfire that allows you to heal if you stand near it, or a launch pad that allows you to launch into the sky and redeploy your glider. Although you can see,
and sometimes you just want to dance.
Sometimes you just have to have a dance party. And well, this is just so much fun, right? Because you know, somebody could very easily just pick them off right now, but they're still having a fun time.
And maybe they'll just come up and join the dance. Yeah, I love that, you know, hopping into Fortnite, I never know what to expect, what I'm going to see. It's such a different game every time you play, and you really never know. I mean, everything from where you decide to land to what you decide to prioritize as far as, like, am I going to really, like, bunker down here? I'm pretty confident that this place is going to be safe from the storm, or you can do a lot of traversal, and there's so many different structures to explore as well. And, you know, just wondering, okay, you know, what's my game experience going to be this time? And chances are you're going to see some stuff you did not expect no matter what you do. That's
right. So right now you can actually see that they're playing a 50v50 match. And in the top right you can see, so there's a blue 48 and then a red, I think that's a 49. And so this is one of our really exciting modes that pits two teams of 50 against each other. And it's got some slightly different circle timing so that you have a little bit more time to gather up loot. But what happens is it eventually forces this combat in the middle between two gigantic teams. And you see these really cool build-offs, these great bases, and this sort of chaotic gameplay that, you know, we think Fortnite is so much fun and really able to deliver on. So it's really cool to see teams work together in such a large format, and we've been really excited to watch some of the strategies that evolve there.
Yeah, it's fascinating when you get to the end of a match, and sometimes it's almost like abstract art sculptures.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to see what people can come up with. And the folks who get really good at building on the fly and building very quickly, it's incredible what you can do as far as defensive work, traversal, and I mean, really just you're going back and forth like combat construction, and it's a very seamless experience.
Yep, that's right. So building is a huge part of Fortnite, and using it, like I said, for mobility, for defense, for offense, using it for all different kinds of things is exactly what we really want to encourage. So it's a big part of the game.
So another question for both of you, just wondering, for folks who are watching who are maybe thinking, okay, I'm going to bite the bullet, I'm going to jump into Fortnite. Do you have any advice for folks who are going to jump into their first match? Some tips, some tricks for having a safe time in there?
You know, I think actually 50-50 mode is a really good mode to start, right? You know, the first people you encounter are probably on your same side, right? Because you're basically, the map is split in half. So it's you have more opportunity to just find stuff and exchange stuff and see what other people are doing and build really good forts and all that. So it's a really friendly mode to start with, instead of like solo or squad-based modes where you have to have friends, right? So that's great. And you know, I think another thing is just as well, sure, there's these super hot spots where you can go and there's a lot of action happening, but I mostly just try to get as far away from everything as possible and just, you know,
Gear up for a little
chop
bit.
down all the trees and find all the stuff and just really be loaded up. And then when I encounter something, I have somebody I can have all the building structures that I make and all that. So there's many different strategies, right? I've seen people just glide forever and they wait until the storm circle is like smaller and then they land. There's so many ways to play it. It's really fun.
So one thing we should touch on here is because it looks like I think Nick just picked up a golden suppressed pistol. So we have a rarity system in Fortnite that kind of indicates the rough power of different items. And so it starts with white items being generally the weakest, green items being a little bit stronger. So white being common, then green being uncommon, blue being a little bit stronger. That's considered rare. And then purple is our epic, and then gold is our legendary. And so these different rarities kind of indicate how powerful something is. It's not an exact science, but it's roughly speaking, the gold weapons are better than a white weapon.
Yeah, especially as you're starting out, that's a good indicator. Just go by the color system and you'll have a good sense of maybe this is something I should hang on to.
Exactly. Generally, they'll be a little bit stronger, or they'll do a little bit more damage, that sort of thing. So really keeping track of the different types of weapons that you have and their different rarities is something that's great for keeping track of when you're a new user. In addition, just understanding kind of the basic building mechanics, just learning to build a ramp and getting up, to the top of a building. It'll make it really quick for you to be able to get around the map and try different things.
And I think what keep in mind as you get started as well, like fall damage is something you want to take into account if you're really building up high. Got to watch your step a little bit.
That's right. So there is fall damage. So if you build up too high, you can take a little bit of damage. That's in order to basically make it so that the building is a little bit more balanced, so that you can't just build up to the sky with no risk.
And looking at, say, building cover, the moment you put something up, it's got a little bit of resistance to it. It's going to get stronger as it finishes construction. But if you're in a really tight spot and you just need to throw up a wall for a second to give yourself some breathing room, even if it just went up, it's going to have a little bit of protection for you.
That's right.
So getting used to flipping back and forth and saying, okay, at the very least, like, can I put a wall in front of myself real quick if I need to? Give myself a second to think about what I'm going to do next.
That's right. Yeah, and that's a great way to sort of defend yourself. You see some people build a 1x1 box if they need to bandage or heal up. You can see here, Nick's kind of using that for a little bit of a defensive structure. And so what you'll see a lot of times is if you shoot someone or do a little bit of damage to someone, they'll very quickly build up that defense so that they can assess the situation.
And there's some other interesting strategy we could talk about, especially looking at squad play. So maybe as far as your item loadout and what you decide to keep and what your teammates decide to keep, you could really mix it up when you know, okay, we're going to be working and operating as a unit. We don't all have to cover all the bases. Maybe we're going to specialize a little bit as we get into the game.
That's right. So the thing that we really love to see is when you've got a squad of people and someone maybe takes a little bit more healing items, because that means the other people have more inventory space to carry more weapons or utility things. Or maybe someone will carry more explosive weapons like a rocket launcher, and then you can share explosive ammo with your teammates, and kind of that strategy of, okay, well, I'm going to carry that this round, or maybe I'll carry a different weapon next round, and kind of getting that whole teamwork aspect going.
And sometimes strategy is just, okay, you get to be bait. Go out there and draw some fire for us.
I'm usually that person. So you can see one of the other really great things about Fortnite is we allow you to spectate other players after you've been eliminated. And that's really important for us because we like to think about the game as not so punishing that it feels like a frustrating experience. So by being able to observe potentially the person who eliminated you or your teammates through the end of the match, that gives you a way to still experience what exactly is going to go on and how it's going to finish.
And it's a great way to learn as well. So I know we're getting a little low on time. I kind of want to just keep hanging out and playing, but do you guys have any final words for folks who are watching, fans of the game, maybe new folks coming in?
I've been running with this project for some time, right? Super happy about it. Also, right, we're gonna give this to our other developers, so everybody that's using our Unreal Engine can use our latest Switch things. So that's gonna be great. I hope to see a lot of more Unreal Engine, good-looking games on Switch. So plugging that a bit, but we share everything that we find out with our developers. So third parties. So it's great.
Yeah, and so, one of the things that's so important for us on Fortnite is just continuing to update the game, provide great experiences for our players. That means, weekly updates, weekly changes, including new items, map updates, map changes. Really making sure that the game feels like a living, breathing world that's evolving and never feels stale. That's so important for us, and we're going to keep doing that as long as we can.
Well, thank you so much again, guys, for coming by and hanging out with us. I know you got probably a very busy day ahead of you, but it was great to have a chance to show off a little bit of what this game can do on Nintendo Switch, and hope the rest of the day goes well for you as well. But folks, you're watching again. This was Fortnite Battle Royale on Nintendo Switch. It's in the Nintendo eShop right now. It's free, so I would recommend going to check it out. I'm very excited to jump into this game as well now that my Switch is loading up for it.
Like and share if you enjoyed the video and think others might benefit from this, and of course subscribe and hit the notification button if you are new to the channel and want to be notified every time I post a video.